Do you have the mindset to make it happen? Make a decision. Embrace the fear.
Jess, Rick, come on down.
The weekend looks so good on you. Yeah, the weekend looks so good on you. The weekend looks so good on you. Yeah, the weekend looks so good on you.
Wow, it's amazing. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate the warm welcome. We have really raised the bar this year.
That's right. Welcome to Watson Weekend Live.
That's right, NRF, baby. Is this the official kickoff to the retail season? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm your host, Rick Watson, New York City. I'm so happy that we're here.
So happy to be here. I'm Jessica Liseski. If you guys don't know us, we do this show called the Watson Weekend. Hopefully this is not your first run, but in this show, we break down the news in the best way that we know how.
That's right.
Right? Little satire, little sarcasm.
Mostly making fun of people.
Right. We're not journalists. You might want to check our facts, but really what we try to do is bring something of a bit of an edge, but with a little takeaway, right?
Right.
We like to drop some knowledge here.
Knowledge,
yes. All right, so we are at the Asylum, and it is the perfect, I think, capsule of what the retail industry has felt like, really, since COVID. We've been on a ride, some highs, some lows. We've hugged it out together. We've maybe cried on the side a little bit too.
Yeah, it's been crazy this past year and a half. I mean, I'm glad everyone seems to have survived it and come in on time and schedule. And
that's right.
We still have jobs.
That's right. We still have jobs. All right. So we just want to get a pulse really quick. Where are my brands at? We hoot and holler here. I'm from the South, so no hand raisers. Like, where are our brands and retailers at? Woo! All right. Where are my tech companies at? All right. And really the most important question is how many people have said AI more than 5 times since the moment you walk through the store? Where are my hoots? All right. And last one, who believes that Elle survived on Stranger Things? Where are my believers at? Yes. Woo! Okay. Because that's the kind of optimism we got to take into this next retail season, especially if we're going to survive. So
she made it.
I believe she made it. She's out there living her best life.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So Rick, tell us what people are going to expect today to hear. What's kind of the theme of what we're going to walk through? Not in this show, but
No, it's interesting. I mean, I've been thinking all day about what is this show going to be about?
Yeah.
And how are we going to do it? And we really settled on the idea of boldness. And not boldness like I made my font bold.
Yeah. My brand colors got edgier.
Or I put my LinkedIn title in all caps bold.
Yeah.
More of a boldness that comes from doing things before you're ready. Doing things without a net.
Yeah.
Doing things before all of your data is wrapped up in 100% perfect and the pretty bow with 6-inch ribbon curls.
6 inches. Is that possible?
It's not possible.
Okay.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that as we get here, about David and Goliath. There'll be some themes of that throughout the event. How do we teach people how to make better decisions, bolder decisions, and not just ones that you're just expecting the robot to take care of it for you?
That's right. We're here to
I was promised robots.
Yeah, robots. The robots are not winning yet, even though I know you've manifested that they will at some point. Okay, so let's kind of get into the heart of the show. So last year, if you were here, you remember we didn't make predictions. We're really not those kind of people, but we manifested some things, right? We thought some things that should happen, or maybe some things that maybe shouldn't happen, but would be funny if they did.
100%. 100%.
Okay, so I'm going to start with mine. I believe that Target, formerly known as Target, I think they've lost some of the Target-ness, really needed to create this mom hub. They've lost the moms, and we got to get her back, right?
Right.
So I thought, like, Target should create this mom hub. They should have, dietary meals, pre-kits that are, like, perfect. They handle all these restrictions. They would do some personal shopping. They would help you. I have a teen, and he always is like, oh, Mom, I forgot this project's due. Where's my poster board? Come on, Target, help me out, right? Target. But we didn't get that. Let's talk about what we did get. We got some wellness products at a delightful $10 or less. We know that they really wanted to hit this price point, bring the price-conscious customer back, didn't necessarily bring the mom back.
No.
And I wanted to have this personal hub, too, with, like, skincare. And we have retracted even farther because the Ulta Target relationship dunzo, right, as of this year. She gone. She gone. Okay, so that's out. And then the last thing is probably the biggest thing that I believe you did predict was the CEO shakeup.
He gone.
Right. Yes. So lots of people are gone, and the mom hub still not there.
Right.
So
yeah, Target, what are you going to say about it? I mean, the reality is Brian Cornell has done a fantastic job for a long time in his career. He probably should have retired like right at the end of COVID. And I think it's just really sort of like 2 years too long. And even as we sit here now in 2026, Target does not have a CMO.
Eesh. You might want to market some stuff.
Yeah, it seems like from a company that's suffering from a lack of foot traffic, seems important.
Yeah, I would think so. I would want to get some door knockers walking through and maybe buying some stuff.
Yeah. You hold signs outside with the squiggly guys.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes. Waving arms. Yeah. So, okay. Well, we didn't get the mom hub. And then let's turn it over to you. What was your manifesto?
Yeah, my manifesto is, I don't know if we had a new president coming in next year. He was talking about building a wall. I thought that we were actually going to have a wall of Temu returns along the Mexico border. And this is what we're going to manifest in 2025. So, did we get it?
We did not, actually. Those boxes didn't even make it across because we had a tough year for Temu, actually.
They got tariffed.
De minimis be gone.
Yeah.
Loopholes gone.
De
Loopholes
maximis.
closed. De maximis.
Yes.
Loopholes are closed. And their traffic as a result has been falling faster than basically those Peloton subscriptions will post February when those New Year's resolutions hit.
That hurts.
So, sorry, yeah. But we are not Snoop Dogg dropping it like it's hot. We're dropping it like she cold. So, yeah, Temu it's rough o'clock.
Yeah, it's rough o'clock. But look, I mean, if you're Temu, your job was to get products from overseas quickly, shipped by air. I actually think they only had a few things that they could do. And actually kind of like the reason why I'm then summed up in this photo is actually like what they did. And here's why. They did a couple of things. Number one is they start recruiting local sellers. And so if you can't have these foreign sellers, these big distributors shipping internationally, then you need to recruit local sellers.
Right.
Second is, so that avoids all the tariffs.
Yep.
And so I think Temu has exited 2025 on like a very strong growth footing. They've had like a lot of good results for sellers. And I think they've navigated this transition of sort of border wall situation about as well as they could have. And so my hat's off to them.
All right, hats off to Temu. We will see what's in store for them. So now it comes to 2026. What do we think is going to happen? And in the spirit of Rick Bold, like your sequin jacket, we're going to make some bold statements here, and we'll see if we're right. You guys can check us. So here we go. You kick us off.
Yeah, the first one is really obviously ChatGPT has been super important. OpenAI has.
I call her Chat.
Define the space.
I call her Chat. You know, we're friends now. Yeah, we're tight. Yeah.
I love Sasha. I'm hearing like nicknames for your AI.
Yeah.
Those are all good things. When they take us over, you know, the nicknames.
At least we're friends, and I always say please. I always say please.
100%.
Yeah.
So look, OpenAI has been really good at press releases and partnerships. Google, on the other hand, what are they good at? Distribution. They own 72% of the smartphone market worldwide. 8.5 billion searches a day go through Google.
Yep. Yeah, and you think about the distribution, like you said, it's all about you wake up and you see that like chat is there or AI is there, right? It's not like I have to open another app. It's already embedded in my day-to-day. 40% of marketers are using some kind of AI day in and day out. It's already embedded in your Sheets. It's embedded in your Google Drive. It's embedded in your Docs. And now if you have a Gemini phone or Samsung said they're going to double their production. So go from 400 million to 800 million this year of AI-powered devices. Guess who's fueling that?
Gemini.
Our friends at Gemini.
100%.
So I agree. Like while OpenAI was out, making some splashy headlines, they were heads down saying we're not going to lose this fight.
Yeah, and there's a dynamic here between David and Goliath that I think is interesting, where David, in this case OpenAI, if you can call it sort of like a $1 trillion market cap company, a David in any sense of the word. But the reality is, Google is a money printing machine.
Yes.
You don't fight the money printing machine. It's not a good idea.
It's not a good idea. But we'll see. There's lots of partnerships that I feel like both will be vying for. But the Samsung one is hard to neglect.
Yeah. And if you're looking at some of these trends, like the numbers now at 30% at the beginning of the year. So really the prediction means that we don't think it's going to reverse. And like OpenAI is not going to be able to hold back the tide because ultimately Google's already in your pocket.
That's right. And they're going to stay there and keep growing.
Correct.
Okay. So our second bold statement is it's activist investor time. They have entered the chat for Nike.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. Yeah. And like here's kind of what happens. Activist investors love to come door knocking when a couple things happen. Your brand is iconic, but the P&L is not. You're too inefficient to not fix it. And then the third thing is it's not like it's so rough around the edges that it's completely broken. There's enough there that you just need to kind of push it to be faster and move faster, essentially. They've lost patience, right?
Yeah, look, and our old friend John Donahoe, who really threw eBay into new heights, as you could see that eBay really took down Amazon during his tenure. He did the same thing for Nike so much that he said, we don't need wholesale Foot Locker. Why do we need Nike and Foot Lockers? So they had the old guard of Nike leadership come back. And so, look, the idea isn't that the prediction that they're not doing good things, because we do think Nike is doing good things. But investors are like, when's my check going to clear?
Right.
And
yeah, I mean, there's a couple other points to make here, right? While they were busy taking their product off the shelf, On and Adidas were busy putting their product on the shelf saying, thank you, sir, may we have another? We'll take that discovery and we'll run with it. And they were successful, right?
Correct.
On is also outperforming them from a margin perspective. So On's margins are at climbing to 60%. They had margin improvement in 2025. Nike had margin pressure. They're in the mid to low 40s, depending on the product line. And their innovation, where is it? Like Nike used to be so innovative. They used to bring technology into the product and let the product really sell itself. And they've lost that heart. Meanwhile, again, On is like, we got 12 styles and they're all bangers. So I don't know where Nike's innovation is going to come, but for sure they're going to feel the pressure with some activist action.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw Bill Ackman actually sell his shares. He's a famous investor. He sold his shares at the end of last year, which wasn't really reported widely. And so investors are starting to wake up to Nike. It's obviously one of the biggest, most iconic brands in the world. And so investors see and smell sort of like blood in the water.
Right.
Sharks are going to circle.
Sharks are circling that raft made out of all of the Nike inventory that is falling into the bargain
Maybe
bins.
some of the Temu returns too.
Probably in the Temu returns, yes. Unfortunate. So we'll see what happens. Again, you can check us. 100%. Check us at the door. All right. Let's bring the home with the last one here.
Yeah, the last one is a funny one for me, which is, we couldn't let Shopify off the hook here.
No.
We talked about the death of the storefront. AI is going to kill the storefront. The prediction this year is that actually Shopify is going to usher that in purposefully, meaning like, does Shopify have a future if they don't have a store? And Toby's answer is a definitive yes. And you even saw the announcement this morning. They were like, hey, OpenAI and Google and Stripe did an agentic checkout protocol. Now Shopify's like, hey, us too. We have a Google partnership for agentic. And so it's very clear to me, agentic is the future of what Shopify is doing. And the idea that you're like, oh, you buy a theme from the theme store and customize it in your liquid, it's dead. It's not how people are shopping anymore. And I think they're taking a wrecking ball to what's happening. And if you look at what's happening in earnings calls, the mentions of AI just keep like click, 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 up, up, up.
Right, exactly. More than the 5 times that have been said in this room. But yeah, so, I mean, it is interesting. And it does feel like you said that the homepage isn't necessarily where it all is going to happen anymore, right? It's in payments. And my other question for you is this the year that the Shop app has main character energy? Or is she still like the best friend? Or is she the leading lady?
Where's Shop app? She's probably gone.
She's gone?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I still get the nudges, like download the Shop app. Download the Shop app.
Shop Cash, it disappears. It's like, it's a wuzzy. It's a woozy. You can't find it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. So, you guys, these are our predictions, and we're sticking to them. You are welcome to challenge us. We love it. And hold us accountable. We'll see what happens. But, don't worry. We will make sure we said, I told you so.
100%.
Yeah. All right. So, man, this has gone by super fast. I can't believe we're already here. Thank you guys again for being on this journey with us. We're in our 3rd season. Woo! Always looking for guests, always looking for, some more people that want to give us a chance on the sponsorship ride. So we're going to bring it home the way that we know how, and it is a live show. So what do we do next? We actually tell people where they can find us.
Yeah, look, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, everywhere. Click the QR code. You'll sign up for our mailing list. They're all over the place. You're here. You know who we are.
That's right. Yeah, so if you're feeling, a little saucy and need to get some out, we are going to wrap this thing up with our dance party.
That's right. That's how we like to end the Watson weekend. So
that's right.
Here we go.
Let's do this thing. All right, guys. We don't have to, but we won't feel as stupid.
Weekend looks so good on you. Yeah, the weekend looks so good on you. The weekend looks so good on you. Yeah, the weekend looks so good on you. It's Monday, it's a fun day. She's a class of friends on Broadway. Take the challenge out, let the bell out. This night is in your favor, your payout. You've been waiting all week, baby. Go live on cloud 9. The weekend looks so good on you. Yeah, the weekend looks so good on you. The weekend looks so good on you. The weekend looks so good on you.
We now have our panel, which is great. And I want to introduce friends. You guys were wonderful for coming on. So I'm going to bring Emma Lawson, who is newly at Kate, and she's got a wonderful title. She's the CMDO, which I think is really emblematic of the future. We don't really need a CMO. Do we need a CDO? We have a CMDO. So she was recently at Skims as well. She leads global brand, retail, and digital growth for one of luxury's most distinctive houses with a focus on disciplined expansion, modern commerce, and protecting brand integrity at scale. Come on down. High five, my friend. All right. Next, we have another friend, Dina Rosenblum. She is the CEO at Hair Story, and she is a seasoned beauty and brand leader with executive experience at some pretty cool places. Creed, Unilever, Carol's Daughter, and Bumble and Bumble. Bumble. Known for building differentiated brands rooted in community values and long-term loyalty. You also come on down, my friend. Yeah. High five. I feel like this guy really needs no introduction, but I will give you one anyway. David Katz. He is the EVP and Chief Marketing Officer at Randa. whom you all probably have not heard of, but are all most likely wearing something that they manufacture or sell. He brings a consumer behavior lens to modern retail and uses data, neuroscience, and storytelling to unpack why people buy and how brands can respond with empathy, clarity, and scale. Another native New Yorker.
Yes.
Me too. Come on down. All right, guys. Let's be sure we give the people their money's worth.
Uh-oh.
All right. Really quickly. Sorry.
How much did you pay?
No,
We want to scale this.
we paid that.
Oh, we paid that.
So, okay. We had to get those sponsors.
Yeah.
All righty. Let's really quickly, just a quick intro on your brand.
Yeah.
And, Emma.
So, as Nick mentioned, I just recently joined Kate, which is a New York-based women's luxury brand. It's about 10 years old. I joined about 3 months ago. Prior to that, I ran the digital business at Skims, which is Kim Kardashian's underwear and apparel brand.
And if you don't know what Skims is, you're kind of leave now. All right. Dina.
Hi, I'm Dina Rosenblum, and I am the CEO of Hair Story, which is an indie hair care brand. We are a disruptor in the industry in that our mission is to change the way people wash their hair. Our main product, New Wash, is detergent-free. So it's a detergent-free cream cleanser that functions as a shampoo and a conditioner and a mask if you use that all in one step.
Is it also a dessert topping? There was a...
It must taste good because we're a sustainable company and it's fully biodegradable.
But don't eat it.
Yeah. All right. Good.
David.
You pretty much said it, Nick. I mean, most of you probably have not heard of Randa Apparel and Accessories, and I would bet that 90+% of you are wearing some of our product right now, and probably 100% own it. We make accessories under 35 brands, from Calvin Klein to Williamson-Dickie to Levi Strauss and lots of others. We own the Hager Clothing Company, which is the largest non-denim pant brand in North America. We own Moss Brothers Retail, which is 120 retail stores in the United Kingdom. You know Moss. Okay. And we own Tribal Sportswear, a women's sportswear business. And we're somewhat vertical. We own we own the two biggest belt factories and smaller factories in the world. So we also manufacture. And we sell everybody from Walmart to Saks Fifth Avenue, which is still in business today. So,
And did not, fortunately, file bankruptcy on the first day of NRF. So there you go. Miracles happen. All right. So we got 25 minutes. It's going to go fast. Let's just hop right in. They're going to go 2 big questions tonight. Okay. So let's begin with what actually separates winners. The practical advantage, where real leverage comes from, and what capability separates winners. So, ready?
Yes.
Ready? Ready?
sort of.
All right. If the next 12 months get harder, God forbid, volatility, margin pressure, and platform shifts, what capability separates winners from everyone else? Dina, let's start with you. What capability is the separator, and what does it look like in your business?
Okay. I would say that just staying true to your brand mission. As I mentioned, we have one product that's really the main key force in our brand, although we do have a full line of products, but really staying true to continuing to message the product in the way that we have learned in 10 years actually works and resonates with the company, with the customer, and just ensuring that we don't go off topic.
Agree?
I do agree. And I think coming from the world of luxury, consistency of the brand codes is the fundamentals to being successful in luxury. And so I think that brands who are very crystallized on what their brand stands for, the brand DNA, and how that shows up across all customer touch points is half the battle when it comes to luxury success.
So it's different in luxury.
Well, I think what you're talking about is the mission and what you stand for. Luxury is a little bit less mission driven necessarily than it is emotive and really about desirability and brand equity. So I'd say there's some differences, but ultimately it's about that consistency of message.
And I would agree, having come from the House of Creed, and I was there for a decade, and it's a luxury fragrance brand, so very much the same. You have to really, it's a little bit of a different behind the scenes truth in that you probably don't move as quickly, and you have to continue to message the equity of the brand and, ensure that it's still aspirational to the customer, particularly if they're spending close to $1,000 on a fragrance.
So going back to you, Emma, for a second. So then you mentioned flexibility. So then where are you building flexibility at this point? People, partners, inventory, or tech?
A lot of my focus, particularly the past few months coming into new business, has really been on people and the structure of people. And one of the things that I think is very pertinent to this topic of winning is making sure that your team knows exactly who owns what, who makes what decision, so that you can move efficiently in terms of growth of the business. So I think having the right people in play, but making sure they are really clear on what their individual roles and responsibilities are.
Got it. So David.
Nick.
I feel funny saying David because I'm about to say I ran to scale, right? Goliath. I mean, then what capability separates winners and what do most brands underinvest in?
Well, I think in today's world, a lot of us have insights into our customers and their consumers and their behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
I think what is underinvested and what is lacking is courage. And by courage, it's the courage to make decisions. I would argue that indecision is the largest expense in our cost centers, more than inventory, more than people, more than anything else. A hesitation to make a courageous decision when things are changing is an enormous cost and an enormous burden. So that's how I would.
So I guess give me the headline. I mean, give me a headline on that topic, right? I mean,
legacy.
And then give me an example.
A legacy process, legacy leadership, legacy principles have a tendency to slow down quick decisions that are required in an unstable, volatile environment. And I think it's safe to say we've been in a volatile environment over the last year. At our company, one example, there was this thing that happened in the first quarter of last year called tariffs. And it created a certain amount of destabilization. Many of our products, and we ship over 100 million units of product a year, were sourced from countries that were going to have significant tariffs. We didn't know how long this was going to last. We watched pretty quickly. It was changing almost week to week, country by country. We didn't wait for stability. We immediately put teams of people into resourcing and distributing differently, buying from different countries, buying from different factories. We started working with our brand and our retail partners pretty much within a week or two of that day and saying, we're going to make decisions based on what our best guess is with the information at the time. And that gained us maybe not always market share, but thought share and leaders and showed our leadership and partnership with all these people as it was happening. Now, we had the advantage of having a balance sheet to support that. Privately held company, not public, and we could afford to kind of take that position.
I want to add to that actually, because you reminded me of something that Hair Story also was faced with under the tariff situation. For us, it was more on the manufacturing side, and we had just finalized all of our packaging, and it was supposed to get on a boat the day after the announcement was made that the tariffs were going to skyrocket from China, and because we were a David and a small, nimble organization, we were able to have a plan where we actually moved around our manufacturing, which I don't think that a larger organization would be able to do as simply unless they had, obviously they own their own manufacturing, but we were able to kind of redirect packaging and filling.
Yeah. Well, I think
it was a quick
decision. Important to note that kind of diversification and change isn't like some magic bullet. It's a very expensive insurance policy. You're diversifying this, you're changing the way you do it, but cost and speed and quality very rarely can all be improved simultaneously. So there are trade-offs involved. And that was tough, but we enabled people to make those calls and make those decisions in real time. Do you raise a price? Do you change a factory? Do you turn down an order? because it just isn't going to likely be profitable, and it won't cost you much in the terms of market share in the future. Tough decisions.
Anything to add to that?
No, I think also when it comes to that level of agility, again, I'm coming at it from a luxury mindset, is the stability from a customer facing perspective, and then the ability to rearrange behind the scenes where people are focused so that you can, achieve the efficiencies you need in those really tense moments. But to the customer, you are demonstrating consistency, which again is the crux of brand longevity.
Got it. So as we sort of been transition from this first question, it sounds like a lot of talk about agility, kind of, you didn't say it, but it's fearlessness and willingness to sort of leap. Mm-hmm. One thing that we talk about, and it will kind of come up in Rick's keynote, is AQ. I don't know if you guys are familiar with AQ versus IQ versus EQ. And
we listen to your show, so we know what it is.
Good man. So I think it's important. I think, as we have this conversation, right, the adaptability quotient probably far exceeds the intelligence or the connected nature to just say about the customer journey. It's changing. And so then I guess that's a good kind of, can a big organization actually do it, right? I mean, I think that's where we'll go next, which is, can Goliath move like David? And I'll look at you when I say, can David exactly, can David, when they become more like Goliath, continue to be David? So I guess then I'll actually ask you that question first. I'm going to ask you, right? So
if I can be David?
Can a Goliath, let's hope you can a Goliath actually operate like David, right? And so what has to change in the way that decisions get made? I think we've kind of hinted at that. And so my first question will be, you've seen scale up close. Can Goliath move like David?
I think there are two elements here. One is successful large legacy businesses. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to add to that successful business leaders who've done something well for years tend, when things get tough and when disruption happens, to go back to what they've done successfully in the past. And in a disruptive environment, that's not the best answer. Mm-hmm. That's a challenge. So that hinders Goliath to a certain extent because they've got this legacy of getting big and being successful, right? The other thing is, if scale doesn't get in the way of making decisions efficiently and quickly, then you can be a David. But traditionally, the larger you get, the more layers of bureaucracy there are. And so the longer it takes and the more difficult it is to make key decisions in real time. So I think that you can do it. And I have an example of where, at some point
that's what I was going to ask for.
I kind of thought that's what you were doing there.
Perfect.
So one of, if not the largest retailer in the world, is Walmart. And I think Walmart acts like David in pivoting into new technologies, marketing, advertising, product assortment, point of sale materials, robotics, artificial intelligence, faster than almost anyone. And they're huge. They're doing $2 billion a day, right? So when you look at this and you scale that, you go, how does something that large, they've been able to do it? So I think, yes, I think a huge Goliath. And by the way, this is the only time I've ever been the Goliath, and most media is them considered the one of the more entrepreneurial kind of smaller companies. I think it can be done. Yes.
And I think it takes process. Walmart and, businesses like Amazon, I think they act like David and are able to be agile because they have systems and processes in place that allow them to do that. And I think for a smaller organization like Hair Story, we also have processes and systems in place, but we are able to break it, much quicker and rebuild it much more quickly as well. But I think, some organizations don't have that kind of process and decision making from what I would say was from the top. I think you have to have a decisive leader at the top because that will then trickle down, to the leadership team, to other members of the organization.
And I think to add to that, in that transition phase of a business going from a David to a Goliath, but wanting to still be as nimble as a David, I think there has to be introspection to acknowledge that you've kind of pivoted into that new chapter so that you put those processes into place. I think I've seen where, a brand, I've been at lots of founder-led brands that have grown very quickly. And if you try to still operate as you were, when you had a small room of people and you could deliver one message and everybody runs in the right direction, that's when things start to get messy. The message starts to not distill all the way down to the people in your organization. So I think there needs to be a concerted effort at some point to say, how do we make these really agile decisions, but get the right forums in place, assignment of responsibilities, etc., so that people can, like a Walmart at its stage, can actually move as fast as it needs to. So there needs to be a moment of acknowledgement to actually, set yourself up to be able
just to jump on something you both said, there have to be some rigid guide rules and that are not flexible. In the case of luxury, it's really about the brand. Like, we're not going to break this. This has got to stay where it is. We're not going to reinvent and challenge that. There are certain financial constraints that you've got to do this based on your balance sheet and based on the ownership structure of the company. These are things we're just not going to take a risk on. But everything else, you got to figure out where do you determine what your core competencies are, what your priorities are, so that you can give guidelines to people throughout the organization to make decisions. Not decisions, but within this guide.
So kind of jumping in there for a second, and I'm going to come back to you in a second, but there's the kind of this like founder mode, right? Which people, when things get sort of hairy, it's like, oh, we're going to go to founder mode, which is like, agile, but you're not in founder mode anymore. But you also, and if you watch the show, if you really watch the show, you'll hear, we have this expression.
AQ was.
I'll test you next. Okay. TTWWADI. That's the way we've always done it, which is where you kind of go when things are going south. It is the worst place, to your point. So for you, fortunately, things are not going south. And as a person who said you shipped 100 million units last year, you cannot be anything other than Goliath. So you are Goliath. And tell us, though, give us a rule. Give these, not us, give them a rule, something that you established or that you killed last year to sort of, evolve to this place or just show this change.
We lowered the number of people who can say no. Okay, and
expand on it. So expand on it.
So
good in theory, but
we have these guide rails of financial scale, right? So if you are a mid-level manager at the company, you can make a decision that has a financial repercussion up to a certain amount. You're not going to make $1 billion decision all on your own. And within that, you're going to follow these generalized guide rails that we've given you, or you're going to go and have to talk to another level. But within that structure, make the decision and be accountable for that decision and own it. And I think one of the biggest challenges, the organization has to be okay that you could have made a mistake and you were wrong and not punish you for it.
Right. Like better done than perfect.
Better done than perfect. Best decision with the information available at that time, right? Which might only be 80 tariffs. I still don't know what the best decision is.
I'm not sure anybody really understands it.
But make the decision. It's okay if you're wrong, and you have to be able to justify the why you made the decision, and then go with it and get support through the organization. Well, it's hard. That's really hard.
I think that goes back to what you were saying, Gina, which is really important. We work with companies of all different sizes and see people's desire to make change, but culturally can't. So talk about that. I mean, for a second, you said it comes from the top, because I want to ask you the question. Because what is the thing that big companies they think they can do it, but they can't? Because we have some big companies in here. So speak to them.
I think big companies actually thinks that they can be agile, but they can't be agile because they put too much process in place. So to me, there's a fine balance of the right amount of process. And I also think that larger organizations, having, also been previously worked for a larger organization, it's you get farther and farther away from your customer usually, and that can kind of really start to like dilute the decision making. Is how I would explain it. Got it.
And I think the other thing that I've seen, and I can imagine everyone in the room has seen, is really resisting the temptation to say yes to everything. I think that as much as having clarity around who makes decisions and moving quickly there, I think it's actually takes as much courage to make a bet, place a bet and say, this is what we're prioritizing for the business and this is what we are not prioritizing. Because I'm sure we've all been in that room where you're meant to be making priorities and you realize you're leaving the room and everything got assigned as a priority and you're nodding along to say, yep, we'll get it all done. And everyone knows that there's no way in hell you're going to get it all done. And so before you know it, you're 6 months down the line and these, every number of priority has slowed down. It's run into resource challenges. It has come up against one of the other priorities. You're further from what the intention was to begin with. And then, if you're lucky, a few of the things get done or perhaps everything gets half done. So I think it's as much important about leadership really having the guts to say, these are the things that I'm betting on, whoever it is that they are answering into, the board of investors or otherwise.
I think it's also having the guts to, realize when you're far enough down the line and it's, you realize it's going in another direction to just say, okay, we're going to stop this.
Right.
Yeah, that's hard.
Back at the whole notion of like good money after bad. But
Can I throw one quote in there? Sorry.
could I say no? No, go ahead.
Good.
Go.
I'd probably ignore you.
That I wrote.
Warren Buffett has a quote on this once. He said, everybody makes to-do lists, but it's more important to make not to-do lists.
Right.
These
That's
are
a great
things
quote.
You just should not do. And
I'm glad you
everyone-
interrupted me on that. That's a good quote.
They're glad I interrupted.
Look, going back for a second, I think that, we talk to clients about this all the time. Like we're here to help people make asymmetric bets. I mean, everybody has to bet. If you're not betting, you're probably not evolving. And what people need to do is understand that you can probably make 3 or 4 organizational bets at a time. And when all of a sudden you have founders who are like, there's this technology or there's that solution or this, the thing that really is challenging for all of our businesses is, has anyone figured out a way yet by show of hands to speed up the supply chain?
I can give you 5 ways to slow it down if you'd like.
So I think that I think that is really interesting what you had to say. So then just quickly in that vein, like, how do you then keep speed? We're talking a lot about agility. So Emma, how do you keep speed then without sacrificing brand, which I'm sure people are asking themselves?
I think one of the most important things to do, and it's an exercise I'm going through at the moment, and I've coined it sort of brand codification, is making sure that you have, or you should, particularly again in a luxury environment, have few brand stewards who are determining and setting the brand DNA, and they're setting the guidelines for how the brand shows up in all of the execution channels. So then you enable everybody else who's in charge of executing that brand vision to run and make decisions with the guidelines, that they've been handed. And I think that way you are protecting the brand. Again, you're stewarding the brand DNA, but you are enabling everybody else to make those decisions at that more day-to-day level without fear of, upsetting the brand or going in the wrong direction or misrepresenting it. Yeah.
Got it. So then, little open conversation debate. I will start with you. What is the number one lie executives tell themselves of being agile? You answer, you respond, and you have the pleasure of refereeing. Go.
Biggest lie about agility. Agility is not, I think the adage is that it's about speed. Agility is not about speed. It's not about being fast. It's about being adaptable and flexible. And if you just push for speed, being agile, you make big mistakes.
Response?
I agree. I actually agree that agility is
You're supposed to argue.
it is speed and flexibility combined. I think one of the lies that executives tell themselves, right, is that they that I'm going to make it about people. Actually, I think you put someone in a role, and especially in a smaller organization where you only have so much overhead, so many resources to play with. And sometimes you have to change your direction. You have to change the way you're going. And so you feel constrained by the resources. But I like to hire for hunger and for general curiosity. We talked about that before.
Love that.
And then I feel like you can be agile in moving people around. And I think in a larger organization, that often just is ignored. People just stay in their lane and play in their lane. And I think really you should, if you have a talent base and you have to change direction, doesn't mean that you have to hire a new person. Sometimes you can actually, there are transferable skills.
Well, I was going to say, I think the bridge between that and maybe where it does start to shift is in a smaller organization where, yes, you want people who are hungry, who can kind of grab what needs to be done in that moment and be adaptable and have a great attitude about that, adaptability. As we were saying earlier, then as you're transitioning into a place where you need to make sure that decision rights are very clear.
Yeah.
You're enabling those people to make decisions on the day to day, but you're guarding some of the decisions that really have to be sacred. That's where it's kind of there does need to be a little more structure involved, but not at the hindrance, of the organization. Yeah.
The other thing I might throw in on the agility discussion is often, at least we see this, agility is the enemy of efficiency. They spend a ton of money becoming hyper efficient and getting better and better and better and tons of CapEx on a process. When we've done that, it makes us less flexible and less agile because it's kind of a locked in, let's save 10 cents a unit on, through the entire supply chain. Well, on 100 million units, that's $10 million if we can do that, but it's not always flexible. And so we're battling this agility versus efficiency battle on a lot of cases.
This is maybe where I disagree.
Okay.
Because I...
Amazing.
Wait, you disagree with me?
I do, David.
First,
I think in a smaller organization, in my experience, agility can actually absolutely lead to more efficiency, assuming that the decision is made and that it's the right decision. And if you didn't make the right decision, you're 2 steps down the path, and again, you're agile, you reverse. That's efficiency. So it probably depends on the scale of the business.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I could tee that up.
maybe you could do that when the stakes are not quite so high as well, right?
Yeah.
You have a lot more trust in the people to move quickly because you're still testing and learning. But when, too much of that agility could, be a multi-million-dollar loss, I think that's a difference. Yeah.
that is the whole graduation beyond founder mode, right? Into the realm of accountability and output, but growth. So I guess then quick follow-up to that. Dina, if you're, I guess I'll go to you, Emma. If you're a founder or CMO, of which there are probably some here, and what's one change you'd make next week to, you have to make it without breaking your brand now. You can't just be reckless.
Yeah, it's a funny question to ask because I'm literally trying to do it right now, being so new to the organization. But I think it's how do you remove too much decision by consensus?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about like how that can really kind of slow you down. And so again, it's appointing the people who can make certain irreversible decisions. Again, the stewards of the brand or whatever that might be. And then agreeing that all other orchestration decisions, things that are reversible, others can make those decisions. Again, I love what you said earlier about without fear of consequence. We have to create an environment where people can do the thing that they felt was the right thing at that time with the information that they had. And if it turns out later that we learned that a different decision could have been made, there's no kind of heavy consequence. But yeah, I think it's removing too much back and forth decision by consensus is really what slows everybody down. People are instinctively afraid to be accountable for something that goes wrong. And so culture, I think, helps with a lot of evading.
We don't reward failure, right? Unfortunately, we look at it as a very bad thing. And it often actually isn't. I tell my kids, make tons of mistakes, just don't make them twice. Let's go to you.
I've made many bad decisions twice.
That's another interview.
Yeah, okay.
So what would you, if you're a founder, CMO in the room, what's one change you'd make next week to move faster without breaking your brands?
I think we go back to a lot of the things we've been talking about. This speed of effective decision making requires looking at the levels of bureaucracy, the accountability of those decisions, and the ability to move on. You don't forget the bad decisions. You want to institutionalize them. And one of the problems I've seen in a lot of companies when you try to do this is you circulate and socialize and publicize all these wins and great decisions, and then you bury the bad ones. And when you do that, other teams are going to make those same mistakes over and over again. You don't learn from them. Those mistakes can be really valuable lessons. So you just have to make them twice or three times.
Fingers crossed. And you?
That made me think of something in our business. We I instituted a Slack channel that's called Wins, Wins, Wins. And it's constantly being populated by the entire organization, which is really cool. And then recently I instituted another Slack channel called Fails, Fails, Oops. And unfortunately, maybe we're not making enough mistakes because people are not putting their...
I mean, a great simple example of that is we have AI instituted through the organization at different kinds of levels, and we've got forums and channels on this. People tend to go, here are the prompts I use, look at the great output. And we've encouraged, now we have hundreds of people posting I tried this prompt, the thing's so stupid, it gives me the wrong answer when I do this, it doesn't do it. How can someone help me?
Interesting.
Here's the mistakes I made or the prompts that fail. Help me learn from this. Mm-hmm. And that's been much more valuable than just the successes.
This is a little bit more tactical. Piggybacking on what Emma said, I think that we could probably benefit from more RACIs. I think some people here might know what that is. It's a method of assigning responsibility to people. So it's responsible, accountable, communication informed. And we, in a nimble business, you don't want to have too much process, but you just want to have, just enough that people understand how to work collaboratively. And probably starting most bigger projects with RACIs would be.
I like it.
Yeah.
I love a good RACI. All right. So we are now standing between these good people and some drinks and food. So then let's one sentence each. Okay. I mean, they're here, they listen, but they're going to walk out and remember only one thing that you said. What is it, Emma?
Mm-hmm. I think that it is as important to make sure that your organization is clear on what the business is not trying to achieve as much as it is that they are clear on what we are trying to achieve. Ruthless prioritization.
Like it. Who's next?
Say something controversial, but yet not.
We like controversy.
Someone told me this a long time ago and it's stuck with me. And I think it's just every time I haven't done it, I go back to wishing that I did. Hire slow, fire fast.
I like it. I've heard that before. I like it too. Yeah. How about you?
The hard part's not getting the new ideas in. It's getting your old ideas out.
I like that too.
It's not mine. It's D. Hock, the founder of MasterCard, said that, so I don't want to steal the credit.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, that was awesome. So the takeaway is that size does not win. Clarity wins. And the brands that can keep clarity while the ground moves are the ones that come out ahead. Someone once said to me, be the change you want to make. So I think that there's that. So that, what did I say before? I said, go meet a new person. There are two people in this room. I will not name who they are. They are the super connectors of super connectors of super connectors. I only hope that you find those two people. One, I'm trying to get to write a book called Super Connectors, and the other, just if you know her, you know she is a super connector. They're both women, as is, of course, the case. So try to meet them, but if not, meet someone else. Go have a drink. We will be back with the keynote in an hour, I think. Right?
Thank you.
30 minutes, but I'll be back up here unless you're tired of hearing me. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yes. Thank you to the panelists. You guys do great. So that man with that hair, it is special. Yeah. He was a hair model. No, I'm just kidding. But this is the keynote, and I think that kind of extending the themes of the evening in terms of decisiveness, clarity, Goliath versus David, adaptability quotient, and so much more. I had thanked Rick when a lot of you weren't here. I'm going to thank him again for building this amazing community. Thank you guys for being part of it. So with that, I'm going to bring you, Rick, on stage so that we can come on down. And then where's my song? So
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming out. I wanted to start with thanking our sponsors. There's quite a number, and we have a couple from last year too. Starting with Radial, our title sponsor. eDesk, our strategic partner. Pipe 17, platinum partner. OneStock, platinum partner. Rithum. Riseai, Rivo, Ryder, Mirakl, Crstl. Thank you so much. Thank you again. I'd like to give special thanks to our two-time sponsors. We started with ours last year, including Pipe 17 and Ryder. Thank you again. This is an interesting day. There's so much going on. There's like Eagles games happening and whatever. So I am... There's a lot of agentic conversations happening out there. I wanted to back up a second for this keynote and talk to you a little bit about not just sort of what's happening, but the mindset change that's required to actually do something great in 2026. And it's a mindset that is enabled by speed, agility, and most importantly, adaptability to survive. And we're already getting some good applause on this. It's a concept I'm calling the Goliath paradox. And the interesting thing for me is, it's we all know the story. We know David, we know Goliath, we know who wins. But in business, it seems like we've forgotten why he won. And it also seems like we've forgotten that size without motion is just a target. Welcome to commerce in 2026. I want everyone to mentally rewind to the year that just happened, 2025. What did the year feel like? A little fear, wasn't it? Chaos. It was a year of wait and see. It was a year of indecision. As I look out across the room, there's how many tariff announcements caused you to what do I do now? Especially if you're in the furniture category. Shout out to my furniture peeps. I think you're still going. We waited and waited for the bottom to fall out in the economy. And it didn't happen. Yet we spent all that time waiting. Was it productive? We spent the first half of the last year forecasting and reforecasting and re-reforecasting. All it did was paralyze us. When we could have been taking action, the overriding factor from all that forecasting in boardrooms that I talked to, perhaps your boardroom, was paralysis. We saw also 1 billion agentic announcements. That's stopping anytime soon. If today is any judge, this week is any judge, Mr. Retail Gentic is in the room. So good. And 2026, there's going to be more of that, folks. So strap yourself in. But the reality is, most brands, 80, 90% of brands and retailers haven't done a thing yet. They're still waiting. Those are just the facts. And if you look at 2026, now the fast followers have woken up. Meaning like, hey, the early adopters are there. Now we need to start doing something too. That just means the pace is going to increase. But the fact that these retailers haven't adopted yet means we're still in the bottom half of the first inning. It's early days. And so what I'm trying to get across to you today is the mindset that's going to require and enable you to thrive in all this chaos that's happening. And to do that, we're going to have to unlearn a big lesson that we've learned for the past 20 years. We were taught to fear being the underdog. Like, nobody wants to be small. How can you get funding when you're small? We were taught that cash is king, that scale is safety. We were taught that we can build a revenue moat so wide and so deep that no one can jump over it. And then this is our castle would be safe. And I'm here to tell you that is a freaking lie. There's no safety in indecision anymore. The only safety is in motion. And the real danger is being the giant who can't move. And the reason is your size becomes an impediment to your success. Goliath didn't lose because they were weak. Goliath was the strongest man on the battlefield. Goliath lost because he was heavy. He lost because he was slow. He lost because by the time the rock was headed inbound, he couldn't turn his head fast enough to dodge it. And let's be honest. How many are you feeling heavy right now? It's a small one. Sorry, you can ask. Parts are feeling heavy. I talk to a lot of executives out there, and the overriding fear is paralysis. That's what you're seeing. They're looking at their tech stack, that monolith they built back in 2012. They're looking at that org structure that takes 12 layers of approval to change a freaking landing page. There should not be any groans after that. This is what's holding you back. And what we're talking about here is, how do we move past that as a group and as an industry so that we can become more nimble and do better for our customers? Because doing nothing is not doing something. Ultimately, we think that standing still is some kind of safe harbor. Like, if I don't make a decision, I can't make a mistake. ultimately, the way things shake down is if you make a decision, you can succeed and build on your success. If you make a decision and fail, you can pivot. Like friends, pivot. And you can fix the problem, any problems that happen. But ultimately, if you don't make any kind of decision, then what we're talking about is really stagnation. And so intellectually, like, why does this happen? I think humans are just kind of wired that way. And we ultimately fear what we can't see. The unknown. The devil we know. This is what we're used to. The people that we're comfortable with, they make me comfortable. The process that makes us comfortable. That comfort has become shackles for our culture. And if you're in one of the biggest tectonic shifts in technology in the last 30 years, that's not a good place to be. So how do we start to break out of these things? And I want to actually go back for a little bit of a history lesson, because I've been in e-commerce a long time. And through all of this, really, not fully to 95, but pretty close. We've been through a big history here, and it feels like something big is happening again. The first era is for the age of presence. And I think the easiest thing to say about it is like, you build it, you come. Anyone could just throw up a website. You can monetize those eyeballs and hopefully sell it to someone else, before the bubble burst. Age 2 here, age of efficiency, and we've talked about the age of efficiency some. This is the Amazon effect. 2-day shipping, CAC arbitrage. All these things, it's ultimately a race to the bottom. But at the end of the day, if you can make your math work, you were golden, because you had that flywheel reinforcing you. You were shipping faster. That allowed you to lower prices. That gave you more customers. More customers give you more scale. More scale gives you better service. Better service gives you better vendors, more eyeballs, more assortment, and the flywheel spun on. That changed a little bit with the age of social, where brands needed to start to become media companies first and retailers second. Every brand needed a voice. What's our voice? Your voice is what your soul is supposed to be. We tend to forget that. What we're entering now is really the age of intelligence. It's no longer enough to simply generate and respond to demand. Instead, we must anticipate demand before it even comes. That's really the only way forward. And the only way to do that is to actually have tools and people and processes to make it happen. I want to talk a little bit about some of the bold challengers that are out there that have made this happen and what enables some of these transformations. Lululemon, Skims. It's kind of ironic, kind of the Nike, but Lululemon and Alo. Lululemon is the ultimate establishment. They built an empire based on the power of their technical fabrics and the yoga studio. The entire viral coefficient of Lulu was kickstarted by essentially yoga instructors. The definition of a juggernaut, the definition of a Goliath. I've said to clients on calls, why the hell does the world need another yoga company? The short answer is they didn't. Allo competes on lifestyle. Lulu competes on the studio. Allo saw that people don't just want clothing for when they're in the studio. They want clothing for the 60-minute coffee run after they get out of the studio. They want the airport look as we're lounging. Ultimately, Lulu was helping us solve a problem while we were at a specific place. Allo was helping us do something very different. Be who we might want to be. And that's what they were selling. Exhibit B, Victoria's Secret versus Skims. Very ironic Nike's on this slide given our content earlier today. Victoria's Secret, the definition of establishment. For decades, they owned the lingerie market. Seemingly impenetrable. And what are they selling? Angels? A fantasy. Ultimately, the vision of the reality that they were portraying far outpaced where their customer was able to get to. On the other side, Skims. Of course, we have the Kardashians, maybe the greatest marketers the world has ever known. A company that Nike feels compelled to partner with to save themselves, some might say. So social celebrity plays a big part. But that's not enough to explain what's happening here. Skims is solving a problem that Victoria's Secret never even thought about. If you think about a company that could have entered this space, it was Victoria. You already had all the garments there. You were already in the store. What Skims instead was selling was the combination of high fashion engineering and body positivity. That's what they're selling. Ultimately, Victoria was telling you who you should be. On the other hand, Skims was meeting women and increasingly men exactly where they are. While Victoria was selling lingerie and fantasy, Skims sold confidence. In 2026, the formula for success in an era where anyone could generate copy, millions of images. If you don't have time, your agent's going to do it for you. Everyone has dynamic pricing. These bold brands did not wait for a study of the measurable ROI on their brand soul. Instead, they stood for something. And standing for something is how you're going to compete this year. Because the same slop isn't going to get you to the next phase. So as we start and you go forward with the rest of your weekend and into NRF, there are a few choices you have in front of you. You could be timid. You could be afraid of AI slop, worried about how much data you don't have. You can embrace incrementalism if we just get a little bit better, it'll be just fine. This is the path of the Goliath that's heavy, held down by threads. Or you can be bold. You can act before you have all the data. You can act on conviction. You could build an experience that you know your customers are going to crave. The brands that we're talking about and the people in this audience all have the ability to make it happen. The question is, do you have the mindset to make it happen? That adaptability quotient, or AQ. And so for 2026, really, the question is not, are you David? Are you Goliath? Really, the question is, are you the giant who can't move? Or are you the giant who learned how to dance? And so in 2026, my challenge to you is embrace the fear. Embrace your change. Set the pace and do it. Thank you. Good job, man. Thanks.